I'll start in the book of Second Ezra, chapter 15, beginning at verse 1, and it reads, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy." We know the word what the word prophecy goes into to say before. Pro meaning before, facade meaning to speak or to say, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Yahweh is the name of the Most High, the Father, Yahweh. Yahweh meaning he is or he exists. And the name of our big brother, who people English call Jesus Christ, is Yahweh Shai, which you would say Yahweh Shai, meaning he saves or he is the deliverer. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Verse 2, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Scriptures talk about the Most High, he cannot lie. Verse 3, fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity meaning the disbelief or unbelief, of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Verse 5, behold, saith the Lord, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to Allah, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakatham. And say double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwat, as well as the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of the other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. It's your brother Yahweh Sop out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant. And I'm coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And basically this lesson is in regards to an article that I just witnessed, or just happened to come across. I'm going to read a little bit of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's going into, as the scriptures read, things written in the scriptures, basically, the Bible's a living book because things that are written therein are either come to pass and they line up with history, or we're waiting on things to come to pass. That's why the scriptures talk about in the book of Revelations, the spirit of the Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy, and that's what this ministry stands on. That's the, that's what our ministry is about. We are talking about the prophecies that's written in the scriptures. With that being said, one of the prophecies is famine. Famine was used as judgment, and famine is going to be used as it's going to be used as judgment. It's going to be judgment to 2/3 first and foremost, but to the heathen and the wickedness of these Babylonians on this land. It's like I said again, it's used as a tool. Most High uses it to as a scourge, it actually says. Matter of fact, where is that? It's either in Second Ezra chapter 16. I know I got it on deck. This is book of Second Ezra chapter 16. And I'm going to get to the point, and it reads, Second Ezra 16 and 14, behold, the plagues are sent. What is this plagues? The scourges, the different ways the Most High is going to use to judge the earth, which is famine, death, pestilence, plagues. It says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Because who can stop, and put this fire out? Who can quench it? No one. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundations of the earth. point I want, I'm going to skip. Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, in which we're seeing the beginning of famine. You got famine going on in the world. I remember last year I was doing videos. They was talking about how, especially when the war started, about how you had certain countries that was being affected of it, mostly and the Hamites over in Africa. But you got people that's basically suffering from not having the food or enough food in America, in Babylon the Great, you know, because of the inflation. It says the beginning of wars, you know, again, I just spoke on the war between Ukraine and Russia, and you basically are having, you know, these different nations pick sides between America and the BRICS nations. You know, brother just brought that out. That's why you have Saudi Arabia basically have joined onto America's enemies in regards to basically the oil. You know, so you get, you know, the U.S. dollar that was backed by the oil. Well, they made it known that they're going to come up with another currency, and when that takes place, and they stop utilizing the dollar, because I guess it's being used to a degree now. Still, you know, once that completely happens, you know, we're gonna experience hyperinflation. The beginning of evils. Evils meaning bad times. Eve time, be ill, bad. It says, what shall I do when these evils shall come? So he asked the question, you know. So when you go to Ezra's, second Ezra's, that's Ezra, you know, the Levitical priest mentioned in the Old Testament, you know. Verse 19, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. And a scourge is like a whip. So the Lord uses these different tools to basically beat Jacob back into submission, but Jacob is so stiff-necked and hard-headed. You know, that's why it's always a remnant. You know, the majority won't be saved on this side. The majority will be destroyed because of, you know, their sottish ways, you know. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. You know, Jake was up there, you know, worried when, you know, it was lockdowns and this invisible pestilence was in the air and all these different things. But, you know, when they opened everything back up, Jake became more of a demon, more of a niggard, you know. Verse 21, behold, visuals shall be sold good, cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. They'll think themselves to be in good case because you still, to a degree, can buy food cheaply. You know, you still can go to a McDonald's. You know, even during the you know, the P Dizzy. People was allowed to go. You know, you couldn't do a lot of shit, but you can go to these restaurants. You know, and it's funny, again, I may mention this in a few videos. Now you got a lot of these restaurants are basically laying off, from McDonald's. You know, I know McDonald's was doing major, layoffs, major layoffs. You're going to have more than that, you know, because right now, again, yeah, I think I read something, they said that basically this year going to be a retail apocalypse again. You know, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth. And the evils growing is that basically inflation, you know, the crime raising up. You know, these people try to set up a situation with these 15-minute cities. You know, I remember it's talking about that guy Justin Bibb. He was talking about how he wanted Cleveland to be the first 15-minute city, and then they're investing all this money. Talk about for infrastructure, but it's for, you know, because what they did was, you know, a lot of the money they got back from the government with the whole pandemic, that money didn't go to the people like that. You know, you had different states that was basically taking care of their citizens, giving them, you know, certain money, you know, stimulus checks and whatnot. You know, each month they would get a little check, certain individuals that qualified. But a lot of states didn't do that. They held on to that money. So it ain't surprising that they got the money to actually invest in these things when, you know, right now everything is looking like it's going to shit. Verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. God, so that's going to be judgment, If the famine don't get you, the sword will. When you read 2nd Ezra chapter 15, it talks about they shall have no pity on their neighbor, but destroying their houses and basically looking for bread, looking for food. So I'm going to bring out a little bit of this article because basically, again, what people don't realize is they supposed to have stopped basically the production of wheat or wheat imports because of the war. Russia, Ukraine, that's considered the bread basket of the world. Like I think more than a little bit of less than half or half of the wheat imports come from that area or that region. But they supposed was going to stop it, but then Putin brokered a deal and they continue to manufacture it. But now they're saying that basically certain key nations aren't really like sticking to their obligation, which is not surprising. Prospects for a grain deal not good. Kremlin. Only half of the agreement is being implemented right now, Dmitry Peskov has said. The future of the internationally brokered deal to resume grain shipments from Ukraine looks bleak because not all parties have kept their side of the bargain, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said on Wednesday. The Black Sea Grain Initiative was made in July with the aim of allowing grain ships to leave Ukraine's Black Sea ports after they became stuck there due to the Ukraine conflict. So what happened was that, like I said, again, that's always been the breadbasket of the world, but because of the fact of the war, and you had all these different nations that's supposed to be opposed to it, mainly the UN, and like I said, that's Putin's region. They basically didn't allow grain to get out of there. But then I believe Putin brokered a deal where they allowed it to, that's why we're having grain now. But they're saying it was only for a set amount of time, though. It says the accord was also meant to facilitate unrestricted access to grain and fertilizer exports from Russia. Moscow has since insisted that while the export of wheat, corn, and other agricultural products from Ukraine continues, Russian companies are still struggling with hurdles put in place by sanctions. We know UN representatives are making some efforts to maintain the agreement, but the second half of the deal is still not working and its conditions are not being implemented, Peskov said. No deal can stand on one leg. It needs two legs to stand on. And that's just showing you the division. That's how we know where we're at. It's funny because we was just going into Daniel chapter 11. And, this is my first time going into the breakdown and finding out that that's basically goes into the Syrian wars and whatnot. And, Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth and his what was his, I think it's his nephew, Ptolemy the fifth or whatever, and basically how they were smiling in one another's face, but literally really trying to get the better of one another. So it's just like that today. You got these nations sitting up there. How can you really expect this deal to stand when basically, everybody jockeying for power? When they placed sanctions on Russia, when Russia did what they did, what did Russia do? It blew up in everybody's face because basically Russia made the natural gas import and export way more expensive. So when our natural gas jumped up an extra $150, why do you think that is? So that alone showed me that America was losing and waxing coal or waxing well, not waxing, but waning, losing power. Because I think waxing is to grow, waning is to lose. But with that being said, that showed me a lot. That's why you had that statement that devil made Rothschild, Meyer Amschel Rothschild, give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes his laws, because they understood, or he understood, the power of money. That's why the scriptures talk about for the love of the money is the root of all evil. Money is a defense. That's in the scriptures. Plus, it also says money answers all things, but it also says the love of money. So, Most High God blessed Solomon with money, but, you know, Most High God blessed. So money isn't a wicked thing. It's a tool. But if you idolize, the Most High God is a jealous power, you know. So, at the end of the day, it's something simple like that. Something, what's the word? I ain't gonna say not tangible, but something that basically, um, because once they switch the system over with, like, you got these individuals, these superstars, these athletes, and these different individuals that are, basically, uh, elevated in the society. When they change the system over with, because they're just used to this money, yeah. When they change the system over with, yeah, that's why the scriptures talk about smaller, great, rich or poor, free or bond. So it's going to affect everyone. They going to succumb to this thing in order, because the scriptures talk about how many people going to lose their life to try to keep it, but those that no, Salaki, I said it wrong. Those to keep their life, they're gonna lose it, and those that lose their life for the Yahweh Shah's sake shall find everlasting life. Salaki for all that rambling. It's way longer than what I thought. It says read more. Hidden sanctions could spark global famine. Russian grain union. So they making it known. And the thing is, I'm not saying that this is what's going to lead to the famine, because it's multitude of ways the Most High can bring this thing in. You got to remember, you had a lot of food processing plants basically burn up mysteriously. You got all these different chemicals, these different chemical spills that's happening all around the country. Yeah. You got a multitude of things going on. But this is a major, let they not agree or be on the same accord with this. And and food has always been used as a weapon in war. Well, you believe it or not, America is at odds, and well, not, I mean, they're at war. It's a cold war, but they're at war with Russia. you know it's not actually, you seeing American troops along fighting Russian troops. But yet still, though, they're basically, it's like the puppet master thing, how people use two different people. America's aiding Ukraine for a reason, right? So they like backing them until eventually it gets to the point where they're going to have to send groups on the ground. It's going to be a draft. It's going to be a famine. It's going to be a lot of things, because all these things are scriptural. It says Russian President Vladimir Putin has also previously claimed that only a small fraction of Ukrainian grain was being delivered to the world's poorest countries. According to the UN, only 28% of the cargo went to low and lower middle income states as of September, while the rest went to upper middle and higher income states. The organization said, however, that the listed destinations may not all have been final. But see, and that's Putin exposing this place, and Putin a Edomite too, trust and believe he ain't the answer to the world, but he's a tool that the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to utilize to bring down the fall of these devils in the West. Because the truth of the matter is, you got Putin that is a fucking Edomite, you got Biden that's an Edomite, and you got Marcone that's all Edomites. They all Edomites. But, again, make me think of Daniel 11, well, or Maccabees, when it talks about how you had Alexander's basically generals when they were fighting. All of those were Edomites, So when you go into Seleucid and Ptolemy, basically they split up, the kingdom that Alexander the Greek basically carved out. They split it amongst themselves, but then they got to warn with each other. And that's what's about to happen to this place. You got all these Edomites jockeying for power. But, China ain't got next. Russia ain't got next. The scriptures tell you what the end result will be. That valley, Yahweh Shaphat. It says in March, Russia agreed to extend the agreement for 60 days. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said at the time that the organization would do everything possible to preserve the integrity of the deal and make sure that it could continue to function. So they paint the picture like Russia is trying to be what's the word? Upright. But can an Edomite really be upright? No, at the end of the day, everything that these devils doing, you got to understand is the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. It tells you in the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 18, all things being to the will of the Most High. It tells you in the scriptures that man's comings and goings is of the Lord. I was listening to the brother Michael Allah from Ancient of Days, and he was going into how it was like a press thing, where they were speaking to Putin, all these different nations. He was on the news, and he basically took it in the area when you go into the black Russian, the Russian icons, because when you go over there and you understand, it shows you basically that the people that, or the men that's in the scriptures were, men of color. So he basically held the interview in an area where you could see all this. You could see all these icons. And they made sure not to try to film any of these things. Show you how the whole world is in cahoots. Now, for whatever reason, the Lord got the spirit on Putin. And that make all the sense, too. I remember when I was in the world, I worked with a Russian female. And out of all these Edomites that worked in that spot, she was the friendliest to me. When you go into how Russian women always been attracted to Jake and all that, like, even Ashkenazis, the Germans, they show that in that movie, the Hateful Eight, not the Hateful Eight, Inglourious Bastards, that devil Quentin Tarantino movie where basically he had, you had that Edomite woman that was messing with that Jake. So Salaki, I know I've been a little bit all over the place, but the point is, this thing can literally spark famine. And like I said, you got people not eating right now just because of the inflation. So wait till there's a lack of the food. And then inflation actually grows. The Lord got a terrible thing set up for this place. When you go into Psalm chapter 119, it talks about it's time for Yahweh Bashem Yahushua to work because they have made void thy law. Talks about in the book of Matthew, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. At the end, that's where you're going to get an uptick in violence. That's what, and these devils is real calculated. I was listening to the elder brother Amawan Gabar, and he was talking about how, like, they're talking about at a certain time in like July, they're literally going to have the police robot dogs out there again. I forgot, is you got two different kind of models, and they're going to be actually armed. And so why would you wait to this particular time? Then you got a lot of articles talking about how around June, July, that basically it's going to be all out chaos because, the country going to be fucked up. So I'm going to just get a couple of scriptures to prove that, the famine is actually biblical and it's coming. I ain't going to make this too long. I went way longer than what I expected to do. This is the book of Ezekiel chapter says, this is the book of Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 16, and it reads, Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment, that they may want bread and water and be astounded with one with another and consume away for their iniquity. Because at the end of the day, the Lord's going to use this famine as a punishment, as a judgment, as a way to judge the people, First and foremost, Jake, you just heard what it said. Break the staff of bread in Jerusalem. Who's going to be affected most by a famine if inflation kicks all the way up? The poor. That's why the scriptures talk about Jake being the poor and needy. This is the book of Psalms 105. And I think it's 16. Point saying, moreover, he called for a famine upon the land. He break the whole staff of bread. So it's the Lord that's gonna break the staff of bread. He did that in the scriptures when Elijah basically, went into the land. You got to understand, when Elijah basically told them that it wouldn't rain, what do you think that caused? That caused a famine, because crops have to grow through what? Rain. Something else. This is Ezekiel chapter 5 and verse. This is Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 8. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai power, behold, I am against thee, and will execute judgments in the midst of thee in the sight of the nations. So this is the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai talking to the nation of Israel. That's what I say. When you go into Jacob's trouble, yeah, it's going to be persecution, it's going to be famine, it's going to be a multitude of things, because basically it's judgment to 2/3 of our people. Verse 9, and I will do in thee that which I have not done, and whereunto I will not do any more the like, because of all thine abominations. Therefore the fathers shall eat the sons in the midst of thee, and the sons shall eat their fathers, and I will execute judgments in thee, and the whole remnant of thee will I scatter into all the winds. I'm going to skip to verse 16. When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, and I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. Verse 17. So will I send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee. I, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, have spoken it. Now that go back to what I was reading in 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 16. Seeing how you got individuals like a vocab Malone and can't understand precept upon precept because it's not meant for him to get it. That devil, the spirit, what I mean? That's something simple to understand. I read a similar scripture in a whole totally, the Apocrypha is part of the Old Testament to a degree, because when you go into the Septuagint, and then when they wrote it in Greek, you had the Old Testament and then you had the Apocrypha with it. But that was like the Greek translation of the Septuagint, what we consider the Septuagint. But nonetheless, it was like, if I read that in the Apocrypha and now I'm reading this in Ezekiel, well, you know what I mean? And it's perfectly lining up. That's precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. This book, Lamentations chapter 9. Because, to starve to death is a hell of a judgment, you know what I mean? To be powerless like that, I pray that I don't have to receive that, you know what I mean? To watch your children suffer and you as a parent can't do nothing about it. And it's a difference, Jake's so even fucked up over on this side where Jake, I've seen and witnessed this myself, where you will have a father or mother that have the means to take care of their child but don't, because they want to, it's about them, that's how deep them curses go. But we not cursed. The fuck you talking about? I was thinking about that video that the elder apostle Tahar did, Salakia, the elder apostle Tahar did, and you had that Jake female, and basically she was like an advocate for vocab Malone, and he made the statement, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. He said, sometimes you can't stand Jake more than Esau, because you can understand Esau. If we come into power, that it mean they lose their power. But your own people, but at the end of the day, that just means that she ain't part of the elect. This is Lamentations chapter 4, verse 9, and it reads, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger, for these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. Pine away. Let's go into that word pine. to waste. Zub, a primitive root to flow freely as water, that is, to waste away, also to overflow. Gush, have a running pine, pine away. So to waste away. The verse 10, the hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughters of my people. So basically going into the woman, basically she ate her children. You know what kind of judgment that got to be? That's the fear of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. And people will sit up there and say, oh, well, you know, people don't even understand the fear or the terror of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. That's the scariest, you know, and that made all the sense when I actually understood. You know, you going, my brother used to make this statement. He always used to say, well, he don't understand if what is the devil got to be his, you know, God's son or something. There's more to it because of the fact if Most High God created him, why is he letting him do this like that? You know what I mean? He's more powerful than him. So why is he just letting him run amok? But then when it comes to the truth, this is the will. You know, everything is balanced. Tells you that in Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7. The Most High God may create good and evil, you know, light plus dark or light and dark. So, you know what I mean? That made sense. I say, oh, yeah, okay. Because you can't, that's not perfectly, you know, the be all love, that's not perfectly balanced. Everything ain't all love. You know what I mean? Like the Most High God got, you know, he got love for his children, but he don't have love for everything. And then, like I say, I could think of a scripture where they did that at 2 Kings chapter 6, where when it was a famine in the land because basically the city was being besieged in Samaria. So like I said, these people have a rude awakening. All these people that call on sweet baby Jesus, oh my God. You know, look at the world. What you talk about your sweet baby Jesus? Oh my God. You know, you're supposed to accept these weirdo people, you know what I mean? You know, I was listening to a video that the elder Yashawamba for Dallas did, you know, about that female that basically she's supposed to have been, you know, one of those alphabet people that basically because she wasn't accepted at home, she went and shot up a school. You know what I mean? And like he said, you would think that they would be condemning her and the people like that because, you know, it kind of reminds you of a woman though. You know, like where a woman isn't held accountable. How the fuck? Yeah. Salakia. With that all being said, you know, this is scriptural and this is going to take place. But, you know, for the Most High's men, it tells you the Most High is going to take care of his men. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 37 and verse 19. And it reads, the Lord, I'm going to start at verse 18. The Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. Verse 19, they shall not be ashamed in the evil time, meaning ill time or bad time, you know, which bad time will be when that famine comes, you know what I mean? Better pay attention to movies like Book of Eli and The Road and shit. It is so spiritual because, I mean, I grew up watching a lot of the movies that the elders reference and whatnot, and I could clearly see this shit. When you look at movies like Mad Max, you know, a lot of these people will sit up there and know about the new one, but a lot of brothers are off into the old movies. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers look at it because the movie got some special effects. That doesn't make the acting better or the plot. You know, it could be a simple plot with some damn great acting. Motherfucker done spent $300 million, like that movie Shazam. I didn't watch it, but you know, just how they say that tanked. They done spent all this money on the budget of this movie, and the movie wasn't even good. It was shitty. You know what I'm saying? But then you can have a movie from 25 years ago that's actually like, didn't have a big budget and literally just knocking that shit out the water. That'll be a classic. Like a Friday, put it like that. Like that was a low budget movie that didn't cost very much money to make. But, you know, that's classic. Salakia, though, it says, they shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. The Lord is going to take care of his men. You know, this is the book of men and women, you know, the elect. Because the elect is not just men, but it's a numberable multitude of men, women, and children. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 65 and the point is verse 13. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua power, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. You know, when you go into the scriptures where it talks about weeping and gnashing of teeth, when you take the time to really envision that, you ever seen somebody just wailing? Ah! When a person maybe lose a family member and was there, you ever see something so tragic happen that a person just break down and yeah, that's what and people gonna do, like when a mother lose their child because they done, or, these people gonna really have demons on them. That what you don't get, like literally, because these people don't know how, they don't even believe in the Most High. They don't know how to go without anything. They don't know how to sacrifice. And rightfully so. You know what I mean? This place needs to be judged. And the Lord is like, we brought that out at camp. America's is basically another name for America. Another name for America is bitter. And I remember speaking to one of the young brothers. He was saying, because, sometimes brothers get antsy, be ready for Yahweh Bashem Yahushua to come back. But you got to understand that the day to the Lord is like 1,000 years. So, is ultimately at the time of the Yahweh Bashem Yahushua when it's at his will. But the young brother was like, yeah, this it's got to be like this because of the fact it's got to be bitter for all. You know what I mean? But those men and women that are, ordained and reserved for salvation, because, we all can be affected by it, but the elect have a spirit that's going to overcome. So they're going to be able to deal with it, you know what I mean? Because like the elder Yashawamba made the statement, he said, I forgot how did he word it though. He made a statement, he said, we got different trials. And we got more trials ahead. But the elect will persevere. And I pray that I'm of the hopeful elect. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, to the statutes, and to the commandments of your power, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to call lawyer my Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Chakras with the thumb. Double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwap, as well as the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willing, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in a land of other nations appearing like the other nations, who subscribe to this truth. To you I say shalom. Till next time I'm able to come with another lesson, I'm going to say shalom, shalom, and we'll watch shalom.